Hello, Jai Hind. Welcome to IFoS Reflections GK thematic sessions and test series program whereby we are actually on the path to score 150 marks in this paper. And in this session, we will discuss economics as a theme, whereby generally, which is reflected in question number 2 of the GK paper. The main challenge with this part of syllabus is there is no clear syllabus guidelines from the topics. So UPSC has potential to ask scores from diverse topics, and diverse questions are also being reflected in the PYQs as well. And what makes it more challenging is compared to other topics of, let's say, history, polity, or geography, questions around the topics of Indian economy or economics are more in depth, and they are also more concept oriented. And it has been observed that two or three questions have also been based on the premise or the context which is in the series which are they being carried out. So these phenomenons and the context and the concept actually makes them a bit of tricky to answer. But if we have prepared them in depth and we have a certain understanding of the concepts which are being asked, we have very good potential to score marks. And this is what will differentiate someone who has prepared from the other who hasn't. And this differentiating factor could create difference of not only like 5 to 10 marks but more than that. And to create such difference, you need to incorporate data, graphs, indices, facts, committees, figures, etc. And in addition to this, focus on understanding the topic, focus on developing linkages with what the question seeks to establish on, and then move forward with answering it. While discussing about various themes which are being observed, first and foremost is the external sector. Every year we can see one question from this theme, and they did ask diverse themes from this. Like they did ask about protectionism, they asked about depreciation, they asked about balance of trade, they asked about deficits way back in the like pre-COVID era. But now the questions have started to become more applied in this. So to actually prepare something from this topic, the tariff wars is a very probable question. And as we know, it is one of the major challenge which lies not only beneath the Indian economy but global economies. And to address the tariff wars, the role of FTAs can be asked. So, and not only this, what to do amidst the tariff wars which are being carried out, and a good framework for this, or good framework to ensure that what would be the uh, what would be the actually measures to take to address challenges related to external sector. We can actually divide efforts, the way forwards or the initiatives in domestic front versus on the international front. This would ensure that there is a structure in our answers, and it will it would look good for the examiner as well in terms of strategic and brainstorm thinking process. The extension of the tariff wars and role of FTA is actually what is the status of our exports, and then what needed to be done to actually promote those exports. Here, like the rather than going into very simple aspects, focus on something which is suggested by the economist, like addressing FDAs, ensuring that there is a credit guarantee scheme for the exporters. There is a provision for discounting of export bills. Similarly, role of logistics, role of export promotion council, etc., can also be incorporated to actually differentiate your content and make it enriched. And such kind of topics, such kind of framework can also be used in any export related or any economy or growth or development related questions. The third topic from this theme can be of internationalization of rupee, and how we are actually moving from the dollarization to de-dollarization, focusing on the internationalization of rupee. And this can be extended to the flight of the capital flight and the role of FPIs in like depreciation of rupee, and need for FDIs for actually promotion of manufacturing, promotion of growth, and their role in employment. So external sector, not only in terms of trade but also in terms of capital, can be a very potential theme. So please prepare accordingly, give it a thought, brainstorm it, and if there is any doubt, you can always refer to me. Second set of theme is about the sectoral questions. They do ask questions about agricultural sector in some year or the other, and generally agricultural marketing, the cobweb phenomenon, the infrastructural bottlenecks, and the legal challenges that exist in the marketing sector can be a potential topic from where questions can come from. In addition to this, the emphasis which Prime Minister laid on agricultural exports and opening of foreign markets for the Indian agriculture can also be a premise for question based on agricultural exports. Also, what are the threats that exports from the other countries lead to for the Indian agriculture sector can also be a question. So it is an extension of the tariff war question, and the lobbying by the dairy sector which is being carried out in the United States for opening of Indian markets for their products. So UPSC generally ask questions which are of, let's say, basic behind the context or behind the news. So I think this discussion will be a good conceptual basis for building a question on it. Similarly, the uh, status and the potential of agriculture in India, and the role of such certain niche categories of agriculture, let's say the horti agriculture, or let's say the medicinal plantations, or the uh, fruit plantations, etc. You can incorporate those in the agriculture sector based question. And also questions around the animal husbandry is a very probable. So when I talk about niche, I am also including animal husbandry as a sector, and their role in the exports, their role in the sustainable growth, their role in the inclusive growth. Moving on to the next sector, which is the manufacturing, they do ask questions around manufacturing sector similar to agriculture, one way or the other. Here, the focus on fragmented supply chains is a very probable question, and they can ask questions about what India should do, and what are the why there is this rising fragmented supply chain phenomenon that is happening. While speaking about some particular sectors, the electronics manufacturing and its emergence as a sunrise sector is a very potential question. And then of course the semiconductor sector and the semiconductor industry that is booming, with three plants that are being set up, with two of them are from Gujarat, can be a good premise for popping up a question. And the importance of food processing as an extension of agriculture sector, and linkage between the agriculture and manufacturing, provides a good basis for developing a question. Similarly, MSMEs as a sector and its role in inclusive growth is actually something which I expect since 2 3 years, and this is a very probable question and very possible ques- question. So I would advise you to actually give a deep thought on it and prepare it very sincerely. Similarly, a overall question on what are the challenges of manufacturing sector and what we should do, in line with the committees like that of Baba Kalyani or the UK Sinha, etc. Committees, can actually help you develop some ready-made and utilizable content, not only in this topic but also in questions around the jobless growth, the questions around the growth, the questions around the employment sector, etc. So my suggestion would for all of you is to prepare a general one pager note on the manufacturing sector, how to like promote it and what are the issues that lie beneath it. The next obvious sector would be of service sector, and here the role of knowledge economy and the role of fourth industrial revolution in propelling India's economy for 2047 Vikasit Bharat, etc., can be a theme for building up a question, and this discussion can also be used as an introduction or conclusion or content in the other growth and development related areas. So a standalone questions on this and it as a basis and background for addressing other questions can be a good thing to prepare beforehand. Similarly, the role of startups and unicorns for the Vikasit Bharat of 2047 or their importance in the employment generation or their overall outlook can be a excellent topic to prepare into and also ask from the perspective of UPSC. And here I am not limiting myself to the service sector based startups but also to other startups including that of manufacturing and the agricultural areas. The third theme is that of issues related to growth and development. Here, the questions around employment and growth are very popular, and particularly the questions of jobless growth requires no introduction. The extension of this is the question around employability and employment, whereby the Economic Survey 2024 talked about lack of employability up to 53% among the graduates in India. So this itself can be a question, and this can also be related to human resource development, which we would discuss just in a bit. Similarly, questions around gig economy, its utility, what is its status, what are its challenges, and its relation to the employment structure can be asked. And the questions around inclusive growth are also very predictable, and it can be linked via understanding to the infrastructure development. So role of infrastructure development in the inclusive growth can be a question. Similarly, its linkages with the investment and savings as per the household consumption, household expenditure survey which was being conducted recently. So that premise can be inspiration for asking questions around investment, savings, driven inclusive growth. And similarly, like I have discussed earlier, like I have said earlier, infrastructure development and inclusive growth can be linked to employment generation as well. The third theme is of that of resource development. So for everything in the economics, the basic premise is of resource development and mobilization of resources for the human development and also their role in the employment generation, role in the inclusive growth can also be a very excellent conceptual question. And this trinity of economic development, resource mobilization, inclusive growth, employment, this linkages itself can be a good discussion in various other topics. So I would advise you to establish these linkages, understand them, and maybe you can also prepare a readily utilizable flow chart or the schematic or the virtuous cycle for it as well. Similarly, like that of infrastructure, the infrastructure and its linkages to employment, inclusive growth, and rest other things are when are established, they may ask about what are ways to for the mobilization of resources for the infrastructure. And in that thing, role of national infrastructure pipeline, role of national monetization pipeline, role of bonds market, etc., can be a good analysis discussion, not only in the direct questions but also indirect questions related to the challenges of what infrastructure sector face in India, particularly about high ICOR, how the financial mobilization is a challenge, and Highlighting such initiative in the way forwards would make your answer enriched and very particularist. Similarly, uh, there can be questions about resource mobilization for sustainable growth and climate finance. Though we have discussed such similar issues in green climate program in the environmental aspects, but here also I would like to take special consideration in terms of economics point of view, particularly highlighting the role of carbon tax, the CBUM, and the green bond market. The next theme would be of the there are various fringe and small topics around which the questions are being asked. Like there, one way or the other, they do ask about inflation. Now, based on the household expenditure and consumption survey, they can ask about relationship between savings and the inflation. Similarly, they did ask about inflation in the past, and also impact of imported inflation on the uh, depreciation of rupee or the value of rupee can be a question this year. However, the most probable question this year would be skewflation or the role of food inflation versus the retail CPI. As retail CPI has actually reached to one of the lowest levels since like 2020, and but still the food inflation is actually faced by the middle class. So this dichotomy and this debate can be a question. And also role of inflation in growth can be a good question, as they did already ask about recession in the past. Similarly, the GDP estimation and the based on the changes that were carried out in the base year of GDP estimation methodology, it can be a question directly, but indirectly it can inspire them to ask questions around green GDP and national resource accounting. These two questions I feel are very would be bouncer for rest of the others, but if you have like given a cursory thought, they can become a very easy and high scoring areas. To extend upon and lay emphasis again on the infrastructural sector, as I have discussed that resources and its linkages to the inclusive growth, employment, and the logistics sector, the questions around digital public infrastructure, its importance, and what India is doing can be a very probable theme to be uh, uh, witnessed in the GK paper. And the poverty almost always remains a centrally important theme in the questions around economics, and in that aspects particularly, how establishing poverty line is itself a complex process and what considerations are taken into it. This debate can actually be a question, as recently Niti Aayog has also revised the poverty line from $2.15 to the $3, and there were lots of discussion around it. So this premise can inspire UPSC to ask questions around it. And in addition to this, preparation of small content around how to overcome poverty, the initiatives which were taken, and what are different approaches. This ready-made discussion can be a very good content for you to actually help you utilize, to help you not only address questions related directly to poverty but other areas as well. The last but not the least is question around the tourism sector. We have already discussed it in Geo, but I would ask you to gather some data and facts around the tourism sector to ensure that there is uh, there is a context to whatever you are writing and discussing in the answer. Here, I have tried to focus on developing understanding of the issues. I have tried to give you context wherever and whenever I can. Similarly, I have asked you to what sort of relevant data that you can collect. Also, refer to committees, which some of the examples which I have already discussed, and also like I have suggested, incorporate some explanatory flowcharts. They can be of like cycles, they can be of flow diagrams, or they can be of trees. This will help you in explaining, summarizing, and ensuring that you are discussing topics in very simplified manner and making them available for the examiner's understanding very quickly. And they will also help you in improving your presentation, save some time for you, and also gather those extra few brownie points. If you have like any sort of query regarding this theme, because I feel this is something which requires deeper understanding and deeper conceptual knowledge, you can directly reach out to me. Till then, Jai Hind, and all the best.